So let's dive into some NFL futures, and of course,
Okay.
yeah, we go right in. You're just going for aggravation of the host right out of the gate. The Jets sitting in 9.5, and Adam and I were just discussing the Jets in the last segment.
All right.
Brutal first 6 weeks. As brutal as it gets.
Brutal first 6 weeks, and especially for them, because their weakness, as everyone sees now on Hard Knocks, is their offensive line. And that first 6 weeks, as you broke down, Buffalo, Dallas, New England, KC, Philly, Denver, even Denver. The defensive. I mean, this is what they do, is bring pressure on the defensive line. And so, I mean, they're obviously they're hyped up. I mean, you don't have to say that. And even though, and I love they were the first team that said, like, we don't want Hard Knocks. It was shoved down our throats. Yeah, well, too bad, Aaron Rodgers. You were shoved down we didn't want you. You were shoved down our throats. You think we like telling our parents what ayahuasca was during this offseason? But, so you're going to do the show and you're going to cut people. And he is an older, so I think that actually, because he is an older quarterback that needs an O-line. He's not your mobile quarterback anymore. Right? And those kind of quarterbacks, if they don't have protection, things can get bad in a hurry, And if they get hurt, that's a funny. They have to roll their eyes back to Zach Wilson, which is also a funny thing in Hard Knocks. They love talking about how great it is to have Aaron Rodgers. Oh, so bad last year. It was the worst. They're like, isn't that right, Zach? Oh, that's right. You were the reason why it was bad last year.
It's funny because, part of the Hard Knocks is the Zach Wilson reclamation project. Right. We're actually through the first 2 preseason games. Well, look, if you're the second overall pick in the NFL draft and you're week 3, if you're in your 3rd year playing in the first 2 weeks of the preseason, I would hope you're carving up the second.
I know. That's true.
But
he becomes sympathetic for him. They made him to play a game like, hey, is Aaron Rodgers going to run it or pass it in this play? It's like, I don't care. Can we should go for some defense, please?
You know what the funny part of it is? So I was watching Hard Knocks with my wife. Who I'm a Jet fan. She's a Chief fan. So she's had the better of it the last few years. And both of us got all the passer run questions right.
Yeah.
And Zach Wilson did not. That's pretty alarming. Both of us are getting it right and he's not.
I think Zach Wilson was tweeting during it, though. He wasn't even paying attention.
Probably on Instagram, in all honesty. But under 9.5 for you on the Jets.
I'm liking the under 9. First of all, it's just a tough division, tough conference, and it's a little too much hype for a team. I mean, they aren't your regular team. It's like, oh, this is too much hype. They just adding Aaron Rodgers. They were a pretty good roster before that. Zach Wilson definitely was the standout problem. But at the same time, I think the mixture of O-line with Rodgers is going to be pretty rough with the schedule. So 10 wins is a lot.
It's a tough division, and I feel this way, and we'll get to another team in the division in a second, where there's a real chance, and I think this can happen in the AFC North as well, where they just cannibalize each other.
Right, they beat each other up.
You have look, New England, I think, is a little bit worse than the other 7 teams, but if you told me the Patriots went 9-8, I wouldn't blink an eye.
I'll be honest with you, I like New England in that division, just because I don't think the difference between New England and Miami and the Jets are that much. Mm-hmm. I still think Bills are obviously head and shoulders. They might have gapped one closer, but especially the New England totals at 7. So I would expect them to do better than I would any than other teams.
Right, and New England. I mean, look, New England might as well have had you or I calling plays.
I was just going to say, just getting Patricia out of there. I don't know what photos he has, but you can call plays. Why not? You ever done it before? Nope, doesn't matter.
No, he was a horrible head coach, and now I like Bill O'Brien, the head coach. It was Bill O'Brien, the GM, that screwed him in Houston. Right. But he's a good play caller, and it wouldn't shock me if New England's a little bit better.
No, absolutely.
But in the end, again, I'm much more down on Buffalo than everyone else in this division. Mm-hmm. So Jets under 9.5 for CJ. Them going 9-8 wouldn't shock me.
No.
Them going 10-7 and that number being right on the money very much seems in play as well. Let's just go south in that division. Let's go to Miami. So my whole thing with Miami is if Tua Tagovailoa can play 14 to 17 games, the Miami Dolphins are in really good shape. Mm-hmm. But that is a ginormous if.
Are we talking combined career games here? I mean, I like Tua and all, but I don't think he should be even playing football anymore. But he did. And it's okay, you get hurt a lot, Tua. You're very proud. Obviously, something's going on.
He's going to learn how to fall now.
Right. Now, it's all right. Nope, got it covered. I'm going to learn jiu-jitsu so I can land my head better? What? How is this the game plan going into the next season after having those massive injuries? I don't know. I just think that everyone says, if Tua stays healthy, but he's not. He's not going to stay healthy. Although they did get your old Jet guys.
Look, Mike, the Mike White revenge game on Black Friday is 100% in play.
The legend of Mike White.
So, this is another under for you as well. Miami for me. So the way that I looked at this AFC East, I was going to take whoever was the longer shot of the Jets and Miami. Mm-hmm. And Miami's got a better price. So I have a small piece of Miami to win the division. I have a small piece of them to make the playoffs. But again, it's one of those where I am betting on a guy with a horrible injury history and a guy who 2 concussions confirmed. We all know it's 3 concussions that he suffered last year. I mean, it is a lot to ask. So again, like under 9.5, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I like the under there. I do like what you were saying too, which would be the longest shot. And the Dolphins, I believe, are a better team than the Jets. It's not by much, but I think they do have a little more talent. But yeah, it is absolutely close. But if there's a team that should be on Hard Knocks, get this the drama there's real drama going on down there. Besides Ramsey getting hurt, they got a lot of personalities. Not even this Tyreek Hill thing. The story about Xavier Howard that came out today. His woman smashing his Bentley and her sex tapes going on that he's selling illegally. Why can't we get HBO down there for a couple?
Well, you saw the Tyreek Hill thing earlier this week.
It was amazing. People are giving him stuff for that. Like he just watches Madden as a scout.
Yeah, doesn't watch regular tape, just goes off of Madden.
I mean, I bet the game in Madden knows more than the coaches nowadays. If he's Formula One races do it, why can't Tyreek?
Well, why not? Hey, that's the whole Gran Turismo movie, right?
That's right.
And it's coming out in the next month. All right, let's go to another under.
All right.
An old AFC East team, of course, now in the AFC South.
Yeah.
Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson named the starter earlier this week. The win total is 6.5. CJ, in all honesty, Indy at 6.5 and Houston at 6.5 were both surprisingly high.
Yes, both ambitious. I think, and the reason is you're like, well, it's a bad division. It's a bad division because they're in it, though, as well. I mean, there's a reason why it's a bad division. Yes, they're playing 2 other bad teams, but they're also a bad team. The Colts seem like out of all of those bad teams in that division, and there are a lot of them, I think the Colts are the more of the absolute mess. Anthony Richardson seemed shocked that he was announced the starting quarterback. He's like, okay, I guess if you want me to, you go out there. I mean, you haven't watched Minshew at all. He can actually run the offense. And Jonathan Taylor, the people are jumping ship. Jim Irsay looks like he's running the show. Now, he's always been that crazy, like, rich uncle guy, but, like, now he's even more like, what was that quote he said? It wouldn't matter if I died and Jonathan Taylor didn't show up.
Yes, the league would move on. It was just like, what?
Which is funny coming from him since all he did was cry when Andrew Luck retired. His whole team was a mess. Like, why won't he come back? And then he's keep that $30 million too, but he's pinching pennies with Jonathan Taylor. It's just bizarre. I think the Colts can be all 3 of those teams, except for the Jaguars, are set up for 2024 anyway. Their salary cap space. They all have a huge salary cap space to clear it up for next year, and I think that they're playing for 2024.
Well, and look, for Indy, it's a first-time head coach, and Shane Steichen, even though, again, just for comedic purposes, I would have loved it if he had given Saturday the permanent job.
No, it was hilarious.
It would have been.
It was so funny.
It would have been amazing for a lot of reasons. But I like the hire in Steichen. Look, Anthony Richardson can physically do a lot of things. I just don't know how that translates because last year I thought he was average at Florida other than the Utah game.
I know.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.